everyone. I'm Tracy Austin, and this is Tennis Channel Academy. The Tennis Channel Academy production team has crisscrossed the entire country, spending time with the top coaches in our sport.
Load, fire.
Come on, get up to it. Go after it. Good.
These are the same coaches who mold promising players into champions. Now they will teach you the same way they coach and mentor the stars.
Here we go, make the move. Perfect.
As you will see, there are as many ways to teach winning tennis as there are ways to win, and as many personal styles.
Pivot, turn.
Land on your right, step to your left.
If you love the game, more importantly, if you play the game, this show will be your game changer. Brad Stine burst to prominence when he coached Jim Courier to 4 Grand Slam titles in the early 90s. Since then, he's been a sought-after coach, traveling with Sebastian Grosjean and Taylor Dent. Whether he's coaching the best players in the world or helping some of the top American juniors, Stine is known for his patience, persistence, and clarity. Now, he brings that knowledge to Tennis Channel Academy.
I love everything about tennis. Tennis has been such an enormous part of my life. I love the competition. I love the continued education that I get from it. I learn stuff about the game and about people through tennis all the time. You guys ready to hit some balls today?
Oh, yeah.
All right. I've been really lucky to work with players at the junior level, the collegiate level, and the pro level. Working with Jim Courier was without a doubt the highlight of my career. It's so far. I'd like to be able to think that I could have something that would achieve close to that success again. The highlight for me was probably the first Australian Open that he won when I was there with him, and we took a little jump and dove into the Yarra River after the match and on a little bet that we had made. We found out later that the Yarra River was actually the 17th most polluted river in the world. Way to go, Daniel. Match that Sierra. Come on, show him up. You have to understand each player as an individual. Each player has unique qualities, and you have to be able to get inside their head and understand what it is that makes them tick. And I think that's one of the things that the best coaches do, is to not try and make each player like a cookie cutter and create the same kind of player each time. You have to look at each player completely individually. The slice backhand, it's a really important shot. Add it to your game, it'll give you greater variety, it'll allow you to play much better defense, and you'll be a better player. Variety is always important in tennis. You want to be able to change pace, you want to vary the kind of ball that your opponent's seeing. The slice backhand gives you an opportunity to throw in a different look your opponent may not be used to change pace, to get the ball down lower in their game, make them have to play from different positions. In the women's game, the slice can create a lot of problems because a lot of the girls don't get an opportunity to see very many slice backhands. A great example of a female tennis player that used the slice to her greatest advantage was Steffi Graf. She used the slice to manipulate and maneuver the ball around the court until she could find her big forehand and really hurt people.
Oh, yeah.
Roger uses the slice so efficiently, so effectively, you feel like sometimes the other guy needs a shovel to dig the ball out of the court. It's so low. There's a couple keys to Roger's slice backhand. It starts from a high position and goes to a lower position, unlike the topspin backhand, which goes from a lower position to a higher position. He also creates great penetration, great depth on the swing because of the length of the swing. Your feet are important on the slice. You want to make sure that you create more of a closed stance on the slice than you may on some of your other strokes. The closed stance creates an opportunity where you're not swinging your arm across your body. It's hard to generate very much pace or consistency if you don't close your stance to the ball. The slice should come primarily from the elbow. I like to tell people that it's like you're holding a knife in your hand, the tip pointing out the bottom of your hand, and you're stabbing towards the ball. That maintains a firm wrist, and that motion comes from the elbow and helps you create a more solid, consistent swing. It is a high to low swing, but that swing can't become too vertical or you won't get any penetration on the shot. You have to make sure that you get that contact point out in front of you, that the racket face is somewhat squared but slightly open at the point of contact, and then once contact's made, you let the racket face slide under the ball and extend out through to the follow-through. Follow-through on the slice is really important. You have to make sure that you get good length. You should follow through with a full extension all the way out towards your target and keep it going that direction as long as you possibly can. Your left hand's important in the stroke also. It helps you to maintain racket head stability as you take the racket back, and that racket head stability helps create a more consistent, solid swing all the way through the swing. Maintain a firm wrist, keep it solid, and you'll hit a really good slice. Beautiful shot. There are 3 times when the slice can be especially effective on the court. The first is when you're pulled wide and really pressed into a hard defensive position. Defending now, we're using this for defense. That's a great ball, way to go. The slice is such an important shot from this position because it gains you an opportunity to slow things down a little bit. The second is when the ball is short and low in front of you. Particularly for two-handed players, this is a difficult shot, a ball that you don't necessarily want to come forward and attack the net on. You can let go and go to the one-handed slice. It gives you opportunity to recover and come back into the court and keeps the ball in a position where your opponent's not going to be able to hurt you. And the third is when you really have to come forward, the ball's down low. Again, not really an opportunity to hit the ball and be really aggressive, but a ball that you have to slice gives you an opportunity to keep the ball low and force your opponent to have to hit up on their passing shot. Nice long follow through. Great shot. Way to go. Developing your own slice backhand will give you an opportunity to play much more efficient defense and create greater variety on the court, making you an overall better tennis player.
It's simple. It's powerful. It's the move. What's the move? Stick around and Coach Brad Stine will explain. Jim Courier's ability to crush the running forehand was a key to his 4 Grand Slam titles. Brad Stine says the secret to Courier's shot was a nifty piece of footwork he calls the move. Now Coach Stine teaches that secret to you.
The running forehand is a huge shot in today's modern tennis game. Whether you're watching the men's or the women's games, you'll see players dominating with their running forehands, turning defense to offense. To create power off the running forehand, we like to use what I call the move. A movement to the ball that gives you an opportunity to create hip rotation, create a full swing, and generate the power and force that you want to have when you're on the run. Roger Federer is a great example of a guy that uses the move to give himself an opportunity to create power from a running forehand position. The move's really all about footwork. As you're running out wide, you position yourself with your last lateral step being with your outside foot. Push from this foot, creating an upward rotation, and your opposite foot comes down and almost replaces the position that your other foot was in. There'll be one more step out wide, and then from that position, you recover. You're moving parallel to the baseline, and your movement will continue in that kind of lateral motion as you make the move and swing through your shot. Focus in on that target. Let's see if you can hit the target, Dan. Because you are on the run and you're in a defensive position, when you play and make the move, you generally want to play cross-court. Give yourself more time, play the lower part of the net, the longer part of the court. Whoa. And hopefully, after having created the move and hitting a big shot, you'll be able to find offense again from that defensive position. I'm not a fan of the open stance, sliding, squash shot forehand to play defense from a running position. Don't do that. It doesn't give you an opportunity to create any kind of hip rotation or generate any power through your stroke. Unlike the reverse forehand where your follow-through goes up and over your head, the move gives you an opportunity to make a full swing that comes across your body and allows you to create the maximum amount of power that you can when you're on the full run. A variation on the move is what I like to call the mini move, which is a ball that you play from a shorter, closer position. You still want to be able to create that hip rotation, the torque, the full swing, and it gives you an opportunity to not have to necessarily play the reverse forehand, which won't penetrate the court as much as if you can make this mini move. A great running forehand starts with footwork. Developing the move will give you an opportunity to create the best footwork possible to turn defense to offense. Here we go, make the move. Perfect, that's a great ball.
The perfect contact point changes depending on the ball you are receiving. When we come back, Brad Stine explains the optimum power position. The perfect contact point means maximum power. Now, Brad Stine explains the optimum power position.
Every stroke in tennis has an OPP, or an optimum power position. If you can find that OPP position that works for you, your consistency and your power will get greater within your game. When you make that perfect swing, that perfect contact that feels almost effortless, that's your OPP. Trying to create that position on a consistent basis, regardless of height of the ball, pace of the ball, is what we're all trying to do to become better tennis players. One of the fundamental differences between top-level players and club players is the ability to create OPP on a consistent basis. Whether it's a forehand, a backhand, a volley, a slice, an overhead, a serve, there's always an optimum power position, an OPP. The key to trying to create OPP is consistency with your contact point. Trying to repeat that same location where you're making contact, regardless of whether the ball is just where you want it to be or whether it's lower, higher. By creating OPP, you can take strain off of your muscles and your joints. You feel smoother, you feel more relaxed, you feel like you're working less to try and generate more pace and more power from your strokes. A great way to find your OPP is to do a little test of strength. All you have to do is put yourself in a position where, Sierra, if you'll put your hand just a little further back, now push hard against that position, and you see how difficult that is, how hard it is for your muscles.
Yeah.
Now get out here and push against me again. And you feel stronger.
Yeah.
And that's the point. If you get right in your OPP, you'll find that the entire body's working to its maximum efficiency so that you can create the power and the leverage that you want to hit the ball. We're gonna have Sierra mimic a swing. She's gonna arrive at the net, and the net is gonna represent the plane that she wants to keep her swing at on contact for every ball. This plane is maintained and continued as the racket gets higher or as the racket gets lower. We don't want to change this so that it goes further back or further in front. We want this position to stay the same all the time. One of the common mistakes people make in trying to find their OPP is trying to keep the racket. Tell me if that's comfortable, Sierra. It's not. So, and the same thing as you get lower is trying to keep the racket on that square plane. It has to rise above the hand and drop below the hand, but on that same plane all the time. There's an arc that's created as the ball drops or rises above your ideal strike zone. So in essence, as the ball rises above and it gets higher, the ball's actually, your contact point's gonna come a little bit closer to you, and you create an arc. As it gets lower, contact point again comes a little bit closer to you than it is in this perfect position. All right, Sierra, you ready to hit some balls?
Yes, I am.
All right, let's do it. Simple drill to start out focusing on OPP is a 6-ball drill. You can feed 6 balls, varying the pace, varying the height, varying the angle of the ball, and still have that player focusing on finding their OPP every single time. Higher ball, get the racket head above your hand, great. Lower ball, drop the racket head down, perfect. As the coach, be aware of whether they're making their OPP or whether they're not in their OPP. Have them talk about whether they feel that they're in their optimum power position, whether they're gaining the maximum amount of power they can based on their contact point. having that feel and getting a feel for when I didn't quite make my OPP there, I was a little bit too far behind. You'll feel the strain in your muscles. You'll feel that it's not as effortless to hit the ball as it should be. Trying to recreate your OPP stroke after stroke, shot after shot, regardless of where your court position is something that you want to try and do to create greater consistency and will help you become a better player. Great job. Last one, right in the strike zone. Perfect. I hope that was 6 balls. I lost count.
It all starts with the feet. When we come back, Brad Stine talks about the perfect footwork for attacking tennis. The foundation of the game is good footwork. And nowhere is this more obvious than when trying to hit an offensive shot. Here, Brad Stine talks movement.
Creating a short ball is great, but if you don't transition properly and get the proper footwork to take advantage of that short ball, you will have wasted a great opportunity. Coming to the net's still a significant aspect of what players need to be looking to do. Trying to put pressure on their opponents is an important aspect of the game. However, with the technology developments, the new rackets, the new strings that people are playing with, especially at the highest levels of the game, it does make it more difficult to attack. The player that's passing is able to come up with shots from more difficult positions than what they used to be in the old days when we played with wood rackets. That makes it all the more important to have your footwork be precise. You have to come to the ball with the proper footwork to maximize what you're capable of doing with that transition ball, to limit the passing shot possibilities of your opponent and be able to give yourself an easier volley. Joe-Wilfried Tsonga, for example, is a great player to look at for transition play. It starts with his awareness and his recognition of the short ball. That translates immediately to an explosive first step. He gets himself in a position where he can create hip rotation, power, and take advantage of any short balls that he's given. When you come to an approach shot, you want to be in a position where you close that stance a little bit more than what you might from a position behind the baseline. One of the things I don't like to see players do is come to this ball and set their outside foot in front so that the hip becomes blocked in what they're trying to do in their hit. Then you're all basically hitting with all of an arm swing. So instead of that, I like to see a player come to this ball and make a little hop step that gives them a chance to set their feet and close their stance in a little bit stronger position. It's important to create that position so that you can generate hip rotation, torque, and maximize your explosion through the ball. Good job. As you make contact, you want to set yourself strong and load your weight on your back foot, and then transition that weight back to your front foot as you move through the ball. Your front foot basically stays in contact with the ground. If your swing is really aggressive and really violent, that front foot may come off the ground just a bit. And you'll come back down onto that foot as your back leg swings through and you start to transition forward into the net. I tell people it's like a little dance step, and I do this very exaggerated dance step. So as you come to it, you actually want to come down, land on your right, and step to your left. So that's it. Land on your right, step to your left, and then the swing continues through. Come up to it. Oh my God, you almost broke the camera. Weight on your back foot. Transition to your front foot as your swing starts, and then allow your back foot to swing through and let your momentum just carry you straight forward through to the net. There, that was perfect.
Once you've hit the perfect approach shot, you're halfway there. Here, Stine teaches how to finish the point at net.
Once you've made that transition and you've executed a fantastic approach shot, you want to come forward and you're going to make a split step. And that split step doesn't mean that you actually come to a full stop. It's a little bit of what a friend of mine sometimes calls a float and go. It's just a transition which gains you some balance, gives you an opportunity to react to the ball that's hit by your opponent. Whether it's a passing shot, a forehand, a backhand, a lob, you can go any direction that you need to from that split step position. Once you see the shot that's going to come from your opponent, you want to move forward, attack the volley, try to make sure that you can get your weight to that front side again as you make the transition and make contact with your volley. Step first, get your weight to your front foot, and then execute your volley. Try and make yourself a more complete player by using the transition game, by coming forward, by attacking the ball more often. You make yourself a more well-rounded player, and you're able to take advantage of weaknesses that you may find in particular opponents. The most rewarding thing when you're working with a player is just seeing them make progress, knowing that they're actually getting better, that they grasp a concept, or that they figure out something that you're trying to work on technically, and they can see the result of that in their execution. That's always a great feeling. Legs up, rotate through the ball. I've been lucky to work with a lot of professional tennis players, but I've also worked with a lot of players